You're listening to Indiana Jones and the Comics Crusade on the LONGBOX CRUSADE NETWORK. Hello and welcome to Indiana Jones and the Comics Crusade. I'm your host, Jared Albrecht, the Yard Sale Artist, and I will be taking you on an adventure with me as I index all 34 issues of 1983's The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones by Marvel Comics. On this episode, we will be taking a look at issue number 17. Issue 17 was cover dated May 1984 with a script by David Michelinie. The penciler is Herb Trimpe. Inks are by Vince Colletta. The letterer is Joe Rosen. The colorist is Robbie Coruscant. And the editor is Elliot Brown. The cover description goes a little something like this. It is another Herb Trimpe cover. And Indiana Jones stands pistol ready in his yellow corner box, and the title logo is purple with light blue highlights. The main action depicts Indiana Jones and Marion each atop a stallion that is leaping over a mountain gorge. And they're making that daring leap because 2 truckloads of men are chasing them and shooting at them. And now for your quick story synopsis. The mysterious letter that Marion received a couple issues ago has led her on a hunt for her missing father, Abner Ravenwood. It has also led her and Indy to Greece, where they are searching for their next clue to Abner's whereabouts. As usual, our adventurous duo has ticked off the wrong local baddies and has to battle a minotaur to get out of King Midas's labyrinth. But escape they do, and then they find the man who sells them the next clue they need, which takes them to Kara Kavan. And that's where they link up with some fellow archaeologists. But big surprise, these are evil archaeologists working for the Nazis, and Indy's old nemesis, MacGyver, is working with them too. Indy and Marion steal the clue they need to bug out for their next stop deep in the Himalayas, with the bad guys on their heels. Oh, and a Yeti destroys the rope bridge that they're crossing, and they begin plummeting to their doom. All right, folks, we are back down here in the Temple of Longbox, which, as you know, is buried deep beneath LONGBOX CRUSADE headquarters. I am joined by a podcaster from our sister network, cousin network, whatever you like best, from the Fire and Water podcast. I believe he joined after they were on for about 6 or 7 years. He's got a couple shows on there. I think Rob Kelly started the whole thing with Siskoid. Anyway. Welcome to the Temple of Longbox, Shag, the irredeemable kind.
Thank you. I'm a little confused because the way Pat got me down here is he said, "Throw me the idol, I'll throw you the whip," and we exchanged. And then I found myself down here, and I really feel like I got the wrong end of that deal.
He does that. He does that. That.
Thanks a lot, Pat. And screw you for everything you just said about my network, by the way.
Well, I love the people on your network. I'm fond
Except
of
for me,
everyone.
apparently.
Maybe my timeline of when you joined was wrong. I'll look into it.
I could be a co-founder. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for having me here. I appreciate you having me on, Jared.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for being here. You know, you will always hold the special place. The first podcast I ever listened to and first podcast I ever appeared on. So.
That is true. I hold you by those special. Yeah, we'll just stop there.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about. You are here for the further adventures of Indiana Jones, number 17, which, as the old saying goes, save the best for dead middle. Because this is the dead center of the series. I think it went 34 issues. We are at 17. We will start where we always start with our guest, my friend. How did you come to Indiana Jones? You and I are of a similar age, but you promised there was a small twist on how you came to Indiana Jones.
Just a teeny tiny. I mean, mine's a teeny bit different than most people's. Is that I actually saw Raiders of the Lost Ark a week before the general public. My dad was a manager of TV stations, and he would get these free passes for sneak previews. They would show, back in the day, they would show movies a week early to get fan reaction attendance reaction, whatever. And so he got these free passes to Raiders of the Lost Ark. And the only commercials we had seen, I don't know if you remember this or not, there was a commercial. It was actually the production crew. It wasn't even the cast. It was a production crew walking through like a forest or a jungle with like a smoke machine. And it would say like, from the director of, a Star Wars or whatever, a producer of Jaws, and it would say all that. And it was just Raiders of the Lost Ark. We had no idea what the movie was about. So I vividly remember on the way to the movie with my dad, and my brother, just debating it. We were convinced it was about Noah's Ark because we're like, okay, it's got to be, right? What other Ark did we know?
Right.
So I did get to see it a week early and just absolutely loved it like everyone else, right?
Right, yeah. That's a funny thing that you sort of remind me of, the sort of blast from the past when there used to be TV commercials for movies and they'd be interviewing people standing in lines or coming out of theater. And as a kid, you're like, wait a minute, that movie's it's not out yet. How are they? What trickery is this? So you were in on the wizardry and the trickery.
Yes. Oh. I don't know if there was any interviews afterwards. They certainly didn't ask me, but certainly it was one of those. Again, they used to do these things. Like you'd go see, like usually it was a double bill. Like you'd watch one movie and you get a sneak preview of whatever the other thing was.
Right. I did see this movie as a double bill with Empire Strikes Back.
So gosh. Wow.
Yeah. Little did I know, little 5-6-year-old Jared, did he know that he was, maybe the greatest double bill of all time.
he was put on a path for life right at that moment.
I tell you what. All right. So now we know how you found Indiana Jones. You found him in the theater. You found him a week before everybody else did.
Yep.
Did that entice you to go to the Further Adventures of Indiana Jones by Marvel, or is that something you came to later in life? How did you find the comic?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Absolutely picked up the first 2 issues of Further Adventures. Actually, before that, I picked up the Raiders adaptations. So I picked up those. I even then got the gorgeous magazine collection. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It is beautiful when Marvel was doing
I've got it.
Me too. So I got those. Then I got the first 2 issues of Further Adventures. And I don't know what happened. I just fell away from it. I don't know whether just life got in the way. I don't know whether the dramatic art change after John Byrne left. I mean, I didn't even know who John Byrne was at that point, but maybe I was able to tell, like, this is different now. I don't know. But somehow I drifted away from it. But then a couple years later, more than a couple, I worked at a comic book store and bought all the back issues for Further Adventures and got so excited when Dark Horse got the license. I was there. You keep talking about Atlantis. Well, Fate of Atlantis was the name of that game. And they also had a comic book adaptation, and that's like 92. So it's really early in the indie era, really. And so I was all in for those, read a ton of those Dark Horse comics, loved them. And then even now, currently, I'm reading the novels. Further Adventure, they're not called Further Adventures, but the Further Adventures of Indiana Jones in novel form. I'm reading those. And I will say, it is criminally negligent on Marvel and Disney's part for not having these Indiana Jones comics on their Marvel Unlimited platform. I don't get it. I mean, literally, like the week they got the license back for all the Lucasfilm stuff, they dumped like 500 comics of Star Wars on the Marvel app. Because once you own the license, Marvel has access to all the Dark Horse stuff now. And so they should have the access to all the Dark Horse Indiana Jones comics. They should have their own. There must be some rights issue. That's all I can imagine.
You've got to be on something, yeah, because I mean, it makes no sense otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've covered an issue of the Fate of Atlantis Dark Horse. I think Pat brought it to a Crusadeness, like in our early years of Crusadeness, and it sure was good. I liked it.
Good stuff.
Wow. Speaking of the comic, and that's what we're here to talk about, Further Adventures of Indiana Jones number 17. We're going to start where all comics start, which is on the cover. Regale me with your thoughts, sir.
Sure thing. Well, first off, because I know you like colors, I love that the yellow background bleeds into the corner box, right? I just think that looks really sharp. The way that the yellow is consistent, and that great image of Indy obviously looks great in the corner box. Always does. I would say also, like, the cover tells a fantastic story. Right? I mean, you got action, you got motion, you got bad guys, you got shooting, you got daring leaps, you got horseback chases, all this stuff. But, and this is where, I know you do highs and lows on the show because I actually listen in advance. I do my prep work. This is going to tie into my only low for the whole issue. So I'm going to share my low early, get it out of the way, and the rest of it is just going to be waxing the car of this comic.
I love it. Let's go.
I mentioned all that exciting stuff's on the cover, but artistically, it lacks some pizzazz. It's like it checks the box for all the exciting elements, but there's just something about the cover that doesn't grab me. And that continues on the inside as well. Again, that's the low. Herb Trimpe it has an amazing career, right? It absolutely does. And the work in this comic, in the cover, is completely serviceable, but it's just not exciting. Again, I don't mean to knock the guy, fantastic career, but maybe High Adventure Comics in 84 weren't the right fit for him.
See, this is weird because he's been on the book for a little while now, for a couple issues, and they've been good. I noticed a slight downgrade as well, which tells me trying to make a deadline, which Herb Trimpe was good at. He's a deadline guy.
Absolutely.
If you can write for Larry Hama as long as he did on you are a deadline guy because Larry doesn't fool around, right? And you can't, I know I'm tangenting here, but you can't on a book like G.I. Joe, because not only does it got to get approved by your Marvel writer, it's got to get approved by Hasbro. So there's more approval, so you have to be more on time.
This one, too, would have to go to Lucasfilm.
Probably. Yeah, you're probably right. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, I feel like this is Herb making a deadline. I think, like you said, it's serviceable and it gets the book out the door, but it's not the high mark of his work on this title or his staunch career, as you mentioned on it.
Exactly. And to be clear, it's not bad. No. It's just not what Indiana Jones exciting. And by the way, those horses, I don't know if they have enough room for their back legs to actually land on that ledge. So this could end very badly for them.
This could end badly. And I love Herb Trimpe too, but for some reason, I feel like this is a cover you'd more see on a Charlton book than a Marvel book. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I love several Charlton books. So if you're a Charlton lover out there, don't be mad at me.
I see that. And since we're talking art, let's just get this out of the way too. You've talked on several episodes about how Indy doesn't have a consistent look, right? Because they don't have the rights, but they haven't found a consistent look. Every time you guys mention that on the show, I find it so strange because Marvel came up with a consistent look for Han Solo in the Star Wars comics. And I don't know. I think maybe if you could find one for one, you could find one for the other. I don't know.
Feels like there's a blueprint there somewhere.
Maybe.
But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with everything you had to say about the cover, especially the, I love colors. I'm holding my color wheel gifted to me from the legendary inker and artist John Beatty.
Amazing.
And the color wheel tells me that if you want purple to pop, you go to the opposite side, you cast it against yellow. And of course, you see the yellow on the cover and the title's in purple. And they have the purple cliff. It's almost like they know what they're doing over there at Marvel.
Well, Robbie C did the colors on the inside. I wonder if he did the colors on the cover. I don't know.
It's a good possibility. Speaking of the inside, speaking of transitions, let's go.
There it is.
Open up and look into the inside of the book. Let's get to the story. As I mentioned earlier in my pre-canned stuff, we've got us another David Michelinie. He's on a run at this point. He's on a run with his friend Herb Trimpe and Vince Colletta and Joe Rose, all those guys. Let's look at David's portion of things. Let's look at the story. And man, you had a lot to keep up with, but I feel like the book did a good job catching you up with what there was to keep up with. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, it jumps in media res, right? As all good Indiana Jones stories does. And then it fills you in like a little bit on what happened in the previous issues. And then you get like a whole another page or two about what's happened in between issues, almost like you missed an issue. And it works. You keep up to speed. And that's fine because that's what Indiana Jones does. It drops you right in the middle.
Yeah, I got to jump in and say, it was to the point where I was rereading it yesterday. I hadn't read it for a few months. I was rereading it yesterday for today's recording. And I was like, oh my God, did I get him the right issue? Because I felt like we had skipped one.
Right.
And I have to flip back I didn't have to flip far because it's in my fancy hardbound collection.
Nice.
From, Tim Benson and the guys at Omaha Bound. But I was like, oh my gosh, I got the wrong one. But no, back to you and your thoughts. But yeah, I did think I missed an issue.
Right out of the gate, my biggest high is David Michelinie, right? I mean, he just gets Indiana Jones. He gets licensed comics. I mentioned already, drops you in media and res. Also, and I'm just going to rattle off a whole litany of things here, or list, or maybe, I don't know English. Anyway, you've got planes, you've got trains, you've got horses, you've got maps showing the travel, you've got Nazis, you've got chases, you've got leaping from bridges, archaeology within the labyrinth, you've got falling through floors, hints of the supernatural with the Minotaur, right? Swarms of animals, these are bats this time, someone from Indy's past being important to the story, which is Abner or MacGyver. Cliffhanger ending. He just gets Indiana Jones. This script is glorious. It's so great the way he put all this in here. Agreed.
And he paid off on, like you had mentioned in there, a couple of seed plants that I was glad that he seeded earlier. We haven't seen MacGyver in like 9 issues.
Right.
And then, of course, the Marion getting the letter, I think it was 2 issues ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he's paying those. I'm a big fan of those, paying those off. But you're right. There's like everything else that you need in here. It's like there's a jar somewhere and it says, open this. It's all the ingredients for Indiana Jones or possibly a Tomb Raider, and just dump it in there and you're good to go. And I wholeheartedly agree. I think I'm really glad that he got sort of a steady run. I don't remember how long it goes, but to me, this is the best part of this series is because he's able to long-term plan. He's able to bring characters back and threads. Because up until now, as you know, you read it. It's like a creator for 2 or 3 issues,
yep.
2 or 3 issues. Now we've got a little bit more oomph behind.
Well, and he had a massive run on Star Wars as well, right after Empire Strikes Back. So, I mean, this is right in his wheelhouse. And one of the things I love is that he digs into the lore and finds little tiny corners to expand. Like, he must have watched Raiders of the Lost Ark like 18 times to sit there and go, okay, right now I'm going to introduce Abner like he did in these issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he brings back every other tidbit. Obviously he's brought back Marion. He did something with Jacques the pilot. He had Captain Katanga. He's had, all these different nuggets that they dropped in there. He's found little corners to tell bigger stories, and I love that.
Yeah, the mileage that this dude got out of a single solitary movie is incredible. Although we are rapidly creeping up on, this is the May issue, which, probably actually dropped. I'm sure I mentioned it in
January 31st.
Thank you. Earlier in the year. But we are creeping up on having 2 Indiana Jones movies, because it's 1984 now. We're creeping up. I think in the summer, we're going to drop that second Indiana Jones movie.
4 months from now, which is sort of shocking when we get to another segment, that 4 months in advance. Because, by this point, I would think, did they have stills, at least, from the set to work from?
What are you getting at? You talking about bridges? We talking about bridges?
Maybe. Shocking that Lucasfilm did not reject that plot point.
Which is weird, because this is the second time this has happened in this comic book series. They did a bridge thing somewhere around issue, just first 5 or 6. Because I want to say Joe November was on that issue with me. So that would have been, probably episode 4, 5, or 6, somewhere in there. Yeah, they go to the bridge thing a lot. That's an old thing. That goes back to Gunga Din and anyways. But
it's just 4 months before Temple of Doom comes out. It's not identical, but it's really, really similar. That bridge.
Hey, look at there.
Yep. Now, Michelini was always good at predicting what the future movies would do. Again, in the Star Wars comics, he would throw stuff in there that either Lucasfilm would reject, because they're like, sorry, we're doing a second Death Star. You can't do that, or whatever. Or he would put something in there and, years later you look back and go, oh, that's really, really similar. He just really gets the property he's working on.
Still can't believe they rejected Jackson the Green Rabbit, but whatever.
They didn't reject it. It's in there, man.
It's not in any Star Wars movie I've seen.
Oh, it's in the comics. I see what you mean. Okay, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, Lucasfilm didn't reject it for the comics. You're right, but it should be in a movie. Heck yeah.
I saw him at Ollie's. They have the nice, the black Star Wars blacks, and they had a Jackson. I was like, I almost bought it. Just was like, this is ridiculous.
You know what was wrong with that sentence? That it had almost in it. That's what was wrong with that sentence.
All right, I should pull the trigger. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Jeez.
All right. Any other thoughts on the story?
Just some quick things. I love that they had the Labyrinth of King Minos in here, right? It's a great setting. Kids in the 1980s. Maybe it was just me. I grew up on Greek mythology. So immediately knew about the Labyrinth. That was exciting. I love that there's some flashbacks in here where they didn't even show but Indy says he references an earlier adventure in Crete that we've never seen, and he's building more mythology. And then the one thing that shocked me the most is when MacGyver shows up, right, from the dead, shocked from the dead, when whatever. He doesn't have a bubblegum wrapper or a paperclip. That was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, he'll get in the next issue, perhaps.
All right, I've been debating whether to bring this up. I do have one more thing, and maybe you'll need to cut this, because this would go under Longbox Crusade After Dark. There's 2 things in this issue that made me go, oh, this is not always written for kids. There's a part where
time in a tent.
There's some time in a tent, right? They're up there in the Arctic or wherever they're the Himalayas, and it's freezing cold. And the quote says, "Nothing to warm them but the meager flames of a guarded cook fire, ... and the abiding love they felt for each other." And those words appear over a tent. Like, okay. And then earlier, and this is really bad, and I'm reading something into it I probably shouldn't. They talk about Marion reading the letter about her dad, and he says her face turned whiter than. I have never heard that expression in my life, but there's only one visual that comes to my mind.
I'm probably going to leave all this in, but bleep out the actual phrase you just said, so the listeners are like, what in the world did they put in that comic? And now they have to go look.
Perfect.
It's not too spicy, especially with that bleep, but yeah.
All righty. Made me sit up and listen.
That one didn't catch me, but the one in the tent definitely does. Like, oh, oh my.
Now, you and I talked off air about the letters page. I want to mention there, in your previous episodes, you mentioned Archie Goodwin was involved with some of the writing. They actually explain it in the letters page here, which is really cool. They explain that there actually was an Indiana Jones newspaper strip in development that never came to be, which is just heartbreaking. That would have been amazing, right? And Archie Goodwin wrote the plots for those, and he just gave them to Michelini, and that's how got the credit in the comic.
Absolutely. I was just about to bring that up, but I'm glad you did.
Sorry about that.
Kidding. I didn't read that page.
Well, what about you? I've been talking and talking and talking. How did you feel about this book?
Pretty much absolutely the same way you did. The biggest takeaway for me was oh my gosh, did I miss an issue? Because then, like you said, he does the flashback and then he references a Creed adventure. And I was like, what? what issue did I miss? But no, it was fine. And it just makes me happy. Like everything you said, just plus that glowing happiness, that really came through with what you said. Just that I'm so glad there's a steady writer on here with a vision, and he's going somewhere, and he's using every little character that he can from a 2-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes me happy. So no, I'm right there with you. I wish I had read the letters page, because not only it's weird. This issue's weird, folks. There's a double-sized letter page in the middle of the story, and I don't remember the last time I ever saw one of those. But I think they're also got a lot of mail from the assistant editors month that we had a couple of issues ago when I want to say Battle Wagon was on, but I may be wrong. My memory is the fuzziest when it's at its best.
I always think that when they stick the letters page in the middle, it's because they got to make room for more ads, like or some sort of ad in the back of the comic. Sort of ad that something that shifted it, but like it has 2 pages of letter. Something went on. Anyways, while we're talking about layouts and the look of the book, that's my transition into the art inside. You felt the art inside maybe still a little lacking, just a little sort of getting from point A to point B. But were there any standout moments for you on either end of the spectrum where you're like, oh, that's really good, or that's I really didn't like that? I always find it exciting when you see travel occurring, right? Like, the train going across the country or the plane flying over the continent. I like that. The last page, if you will, splash page is great. When they're falling from the bridge and they're in the snow and you can see a shadowy figure there. And I love how Indy's still holding onto his hat, making sure he doesn't drop that. And I think actually there he looks pretty good on model for like what an Indy could look like. So I think that's the best page myself.
I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, when I was looking, I was like, man, that last page is baller. It's like he was trying to make this deadline. And even though he was trying to make the deadline, I did want to point out that especially I noticed when he was fighting the Minotaur, that he's still putting in the time to do the background work with the beams, the ceiling, the bricks. The fact that he's putting in that little extra effort, I appreciated. Even for a book that felt like it might have been trying to make a deadline, there's still a fair amount of detail in there. So I'm pleased with the art. I mean, it's Herb Trimpe. I'm always going to be happy with Herb Trimpe. I'm a G.I. Joe guy, so it's in my DNA. That's how
There you go. He uses a lot of 9-panel grid in this, which I found kind of surprising.
This story is a little more packed, so I think he kind of had to.
You probably. I mean, I'm looking at one page. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 panels, and it's like 6 panels on the bottom are vertical. And wow, yeah, he had to put a lot in here. You're right.
Indeed. Anything else, sir? Story, art, cover, further adventures of Indiana Jones. You have to get off your chest before we go to your advertisement.
I made sure to talk as quick as I could.
Well, with all that, then let's talk about your ad. This book had its usual Atari games picked from.
Yep.
And it had some cool other stuff. You went the cool other stuff route. So by all means, reveal to the listening audience what you picked and why.
I don't even know what to call this ad. I mean, is it the 2 free ad? Because that's the biggest thing on the page. But no, it's a Space Cruiser soundtrack. This is I'm a big fan of audio adventure, like audio drama. I buy a ton of audio dramas all the time. This is, early 1984 audio drama, I guess, between, brace yourself, Zorcom versus Tanjar. You know those guys.
Right. Zorcom and Tanjar, right? Who doesn't know them?
Right. I mean, legendary in the 1980s. Every kid had these posters up on their wall because here you can even get their poster, which is 17 by 22 inches, which is, that's huge, right? So, yeah, it is an ad for, I believe, a cassette. Isn't that right?
That's what it looks like to me. There's a lot going on in this ad.
Yep. You spend $8.95 plus $1 shipping, and they will send you the Space Cruiser soundtrack audio adventure featuring Zorcom the Defender versus Tanjar the Dread. And the art is great because this is where it sticks in my memory. There's 2 characters, and they almost look like they're on trading cards. On the left is Zorcom, the good guy, presumably. He's got this like silver armor and he's holding a shield and he's got a bucket on his head and he's colored in red, white, and blue. And the right is, a lizard sort of creature with pink robes and things like that blasting him. But Zorcom, his chest plate is so crazy and unique. That's always stuck out in my memory. So when we were looking at this and we were talking about ads, that was exactly what I remembered. Do you remember this ad too?
I do remember the ad, and it frustrates me that I have spent 24 years of my life yard sailing, thrift shops, Goodwills. I have never seen this cassette. I've never seen any of these posters. It makes me wonder if this is like something they advertised hoping to, almost like old school Kickstarter, like hoping to bankroll it to actually make it and get it out, and it didn't happen. I have to know, listeners out there, if you have ever seen the Zorcom or Tanjar posters or the Space Cruiser soundtrack audio cassette adventure, we have to know. You have to let us know. Just pick up your phone and dial 707-532-5269 and leave me a voicemail. For the love of God, I must know.
Play it on the voicemail. So
Yeah,
Jared can hear
give us a
snippet.
sample on the voicemail. I must know. Or you can just, tell us about it, of course, at Longbox Crusade on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky, Skip, Scap, Skabobble, and Terra Pants. Those last two aren't real.
Oh, I just signed up for that one.
You signed up for Terra Pants?
Yeah. Damn it. I must have gave my email address to a bogus site again.
All right, my friend. Thank you for playing along with shenanigans. Thank you for saving the best for Dead Middle. As we finish this one, we are dead center. We are halfway through the adventure of covering all these comics. I'm so glad we were able to get you on. I've been talking to Shag about coming on since like issue 5 or something like that.
But actually, before it launched, you were sitting in my office and you looked over at my bookcase and you went, "Hey, you've got a bunch of Indiana Jones digests. Maybe you should be on my new show on episode, I don't know, 17.
Well, it's scheduling. We got there.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. Plug yourself.
Oh, sure. I am
so aggressive. Plug yourself.
Well, gosh, I hate self-promotion. So I am the Irredeemable Shag. You can find me over at the Fire and Water Podcast Network. I'm on a ton of shows there, but primarily I'm doing the JSA in the 90s show, focusing on the Justice Society of America and their adventures as published in the 1990s, because by golly, someone needs to celebrate the 90s. And I also do Once Upon a Geek. That's my variety show where I talk about anything I want. Maybe I'll do an Indiana Jones episode at some point. Who knows? And then I also on the Who's Who podcast and a bunch of other ones over at the Fire and Water Podcast Network. And of course, you can find me on most of the socials as Once Upon a Geek on those as well.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for being here. Thanks again for giving me a place to stay every time I go to Tallahassee.
You are always welcome. You were the first person, once we set up the guest room, I took a photo of the guest room once the bed was in place and sent it to you and said, Chateau, Jared, or Albrecht is open for business.
Nice. Thanks a bunch, man.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. It's been a blast, sir.
Yes, sir. You can find me at Yard Sale Artist on X, Facebook, and Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my artwares at www.theyardsaleartist.com. And of course, we'd love for you to check out the Longbox Crusade in all its locations. We are at Longbox Crusade on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You name it, you can probably find us out there at Longbox Crusade. Of course, you can call and leave a voicemail, 707-532-5269, 707-532-LBOX. We'd love to hear from you. And this is one of our shorter shows, so I will just say thank you to all the Patreon members out there. Our Crusaders Club members are the best, and they keep this stuff going. Thank you so much. I look forward to reading your names on a longer episode in the near future. With that, thanks for joining us again down here in the Temple of Longbox, and we will see you soon.
We named the dog Indiana.
The dog? You are named after the dog?
Got a lot of fond memories of that dog. What did you find, Junior?
Junior? Dad? Geez, what does it always mean? It's Junior.
That's his name. Henry Jones Jr.
Like Indiana. May we go home now, please?